everyone, this is my talk on the break free from maintenance hell with clean code. So this is the same talk I gave already on Tuesday. Why the same talk twice? Because on Tuesday there was a speaker missing and I filled in for her, and her talk was on clean code, so it made sense to fill in this talk. So if you saw the talk on Tuesday already, this is the same talk, same jokes. If you liked it so much that you want to see it again, you're welcome to see it again. If not, you can join any other talk on the conference. Okay, so let's start with the talk. A little bit of context so you can understand why I'm giving these examples or what I'm talking about. You get to know me a little bit. My name is Richard. In software industry for almost 20 years now, and committing to various open source projects. I love clean code all the time. My colleagues always make fun of me because I always talk about clean code. And I'm one of the co-organizers of JCon, so I'm very happy that you're here and that I can give this talk here at our own conference. So very happy to be here with you guys. So a little bit context, what we do, we build rapid clips and other tools for Java developers that makes Java easier or faster, and that is where our experience comes from, and the experience from the projects I'm going to be talking about in the next minutes. So this is how Rapid Clips looks. It's obviously an Eclipse IDE, and it makes building cross-platform applications very, very easy. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead, check it out. This talk is structured in a few points. We will be briefly talking about why clean code. This is for your management or your manager, or maybe yourself, to convince yourself why clean code is important. Then we will see different levels of clean code. I'm not gonna do the wristband thing where you have different colors and all that stuff. Just giving you a brief overview, and then we were gonna talk about code smells, and the rest of the talk, this will take about 5 minutes, and the rest of the talk will be examples from 15 years fight with or for clean code, real examples and real stories that you can learn from. Okay, we will jump right in. Why clean code? Why should you care? You should care because of money. Clean code will help you reduce maintenance costs. We will see that later. And there are, of course, different opinions and studies and all of that. I found one that expresses it this way. There are 2/3 of the cost of a software lifecycle that is maintenance. In reality, I would say it's way more, but let's stick with 2/3 for the moment. And this is easy to see because when you develop something new, there's nothing you have to work with. This is a greenfield thing. You can start right off and you don't have to read nothing. So all your work is write the code, do the features, you're done. If you have to maintain something, which means there is an existing software and maybe it's older than like 2 weeks, you have to read the code that you or your colleagues wrote before and figure out where to put your pieces. So you have to spend time reading code. And that's what clean code is all about. So if you put the last 2 slides together, you will see that reading code makes up, I would say, 30% of the cost of the software lifecycle. So rough numbers, but if you go with that, clean code seems to be very important. Okay, this is for money and time. If you don't care, yeah, that makes no sense. But I want to try to make you care because it's about your time. And in all my examples, we will always start on a Friday, late afternoon, evening, you want to go home. That's always the setup, at least for me. And then you're going to have problems. And in this talk, I will show problems and how to avoid them so you can go home and don't have to spend the time at the desk. So just be like that guy and be happy. So the first step you want to take, or the first level you want to approach is on clean code is don't write code. Don't do it. So it's a little bit of a joke, of course, but there are many ways to not write code. The best one is just to discuss with stakeholders and say you don't need the features. Just a joke again, but sometimes it works. There are reasonable approaches to do this. You can use code generators, so you don't have to write the code. You can have a model-driven approach where the code is generated from a model, or you can have a UI builder like one in RapidClips. And be sure this is the last time I mention any of our products. We're done with all the products for this talk. But sure, go ahead, check RapidClips out. The second way you can do, or a second level, is you could write less code. So recycle, be nice to the planet or yourself, and figure out what you can reuse. So very simple approach. This is where this talk gets a little bit interactive. So I would love if you could give me a +1 or a yes if you wrote a CSV import for your software in your career, or how many times you did it. And I just want to see if you're like me, like I did it a lot of times when I had to import CSV files, went ahead and split string and all that stuff. Okay. I guess mostly true for everybody. Okay. So let's see if this is a good idea. And we're talking really building, not using a framework, just building a CSV import with split string and all that stuff, and forgetting to, there are columns that escaped, and there is like a header in the file and all that stuff. Okay. Code it yourself or use it. Code it yourself is good because I can write code. I like to write code. I'm a developer. This is great. But when I code, the code quality usually, when I do it like dirty, is not that good. The code quality of the frameworks is mostly better. Also, the tests of the frameworks are mostly better because they have been in place for years and have seen many, many use cases, and they roughed the edges really nice off. So there's no more margin for error. So you don't get documentation from me because I'm in a project and I have to work fast. So the framework has the documentation, and overall, it makes it expensive. If I do all these things, it will be very, very expensive to write a CSV import. And we seldomly get customers that say, hey, you can write a really nice CSV import framework and we're going to pay you like 2 weeks for it. And nobody does that. So why should you even code? You got to find the special thing in your application, like the core value. You should code for that. And for everything else, you should use frameworks. So where is your core? Think about that. The other way you can reuse code, of course, is copy and paste, because it says don't repeat yourself. So yeah, you have an original file, you go ahead, you copy it, or a colleague copies it, and she makes some fixes on it because she found a bug. Okay, that's great. Another colleague copies it. He also found a bug. So, but you have to reintegrate all that. So try to refactor that from time to time. So you don't have the code copied various times, and you're gonna be sure to have the wrong file when you have them. You're gonna take the copy one, and you miss one of the bug fixes. So make sure to refactor from time to time. Also, an easy way to reuse something is, if you can't reuse like a framework or code, you could reuse design patterns, but that's a whole another talk. Let's get to the third level of code, writing clean code. So that's what you're here for, right? So we'll have a look how to write clean code. Let's see how clean code is defined. So there is only one valid measurement of code quality. This is what the fucks per minute. So if you have a code review and there's a lot of cursing, this is bad. If there is a little cursing, that's a good sign. If there's no cursing, people are asleep or dead. So watch out for that. Okay, let's find out how to write clean code. So the first thing you want to have is clean code with should be something where your code has no compiler errors, right? Because you can't go in production with compiler errors. Okay, I think this is something everybody can agree on. Also, your code should have something like no warnings, maybe. Okay, that's also something people go for. Yeah, Brent said it, no warnings. And maybe you should have a certain formatting. We will talk about this later. This is a really hot topic. Wars have been made over where the braces should be and all that stuff. We will have a look at that in a moment. Okay, but at this point, discussion breaks out and everybody wants something more or else or something added to what is clean code. So yeah, people always want more. We're gonna have to try to get to the point what is clean code from a different direction. And so we will look at it, what is not clean code. So, and there is a definition from the famous Robert C. Martin book. And this says, in programming, a code smell is a construct that suggests revision of the program source code. This is very diplomatically said. So if there is code and you get the urge to vomit, that's not clean code, and that's a code smell, and you should take care of that. Concrete examples of code smells are outdated comments, commented out code, dead functions, magic numbers, all that stuff. And we will see a lot of examples from now on in this talk. So one example is Chernobyl, which is a power plant in Ukraine. And as you know, 30 years ago, there was a little breakdown there, a horrible thing. And you could say this was stupid. In a way, it was stupid, but not maybe not in the way you think. You might think nobody had seen that coming. That's wrong. They saw it. There was warnings, apparently, at least in the documentations I watched. And they said there were warning lights, and they flickered and blinked, and everything was like a disco, but they didn't care. And you would say they're stupid. Let's see if you're the same, because you know, warning, ain't nobody got time for that, right? But who is warning you? In Java, we have a really good compiler that is warning you. It gives you a lot of warnings. And when you're on Java 6 or 7 or something like that, try to upgrade, because the compiler gets smarter every time you get a Java update, and you get more warnings and they get better. So that's great. You can also use other tools like checkstyle or find bugs or spot bugs these days, SonarQube, SonarLint in your IDE. That gives you really nice warnings, will tell and give you also examples how to fix them in the most cases. So this is really good opportunity to learn, and will prevent your software from failing in production. So that's what we did, and that's what we came up with. So I would say something in the realms of 20,000 warnings. Should you give up? Yeah, I don't know, maybe, huh? Let that sink for a minute. You got to spend like 3 years to fix all these warnings, okay? We will figure out the solution for this in a few moments. Until then, I want to ask if anybody of you got a project with 0 warnings, and much more interesting, is there somebody with a project that has 10 warnings or 20 warnings or something like that? Okay, let me tell you about why 10 warnings is worse than 0 warnings. If you have 0 warnings, that's a really good thing, because everybody knows there's 0 warnings, everything's fine. If you have 10 warnings and the team agreed that there are 10 warnings, everything is good. These are 10 warnings we love and we don't want to care about. Okay, that's fine. But then the other day, new girl comes in, she works on the project, and she's a good heart. She takes care of one of these warnings, and at this moment, she introduces another warning, one that you did not see, and that is really a problem. And she commits, and every the checks look fine, the lines look fine, because the line is the same, 10 warnings all the time, everybody is happy, system breaks. Okay, that's like the false security of having 10 warnings. You either have 0 warnings or 2,000 or 20,000. So 20,000 is better than 10, because when you have 20,000, you know you're fucked. Okay, so let's see what we can do about warnings. So warnings indicate problems, but not every warning is always a problem. So if you're gonna tell me that space aliens are coming, you're warning me, and they will abduct me and take me away. So that's not a problem for me in 2 ways. The one way is if they come, I don't believe they come, and if they come and take me to their planet, it's gonna be a great experience. So this is not a warning. This is like a happy day for me. Okay. So make sure to configure your warnings and display only the relevant ones. So you don't have to fix everything. If you don't use serialization in your project, maybe you can disable that, okay? But think hard about what to disable and what not. Disabling all warnings is not the solution. Okay, let's see. How Simon tests me. Okay, Hendrik says they do tests with me. Okay, I think that's not so fun. Okay, let's see what we can do. To explain this to our management. This is again with costs. This costs always management. It's expensive. The later in the life cycle you discover those problems, the more expensive it gets to fix them. So if you discover it in production, the costs are way higher than this bar. This is just because the screen is so small. And it's so expensive in production because in production you have guys that will call you and scream at you, and there will be 5 of them, and they are very expensive because people that are allowed to scream on conference calls are very expensive. So make sure you save a lot of money on them. Okay, don't let it get that way. So we saw a lot of problems. Now we want to get in the way of fixing them. Let's have a look at APIs and how to structure and name them. So what you want to do is you want to have names that are unambiguous, so you can really see what they do. So this is one example. We have a really nice API in Java that helps you deal with dates. Dates are always not fun. So we have that helps a lot. And can you guess what future will be? And all of the examples I'm going to show here, they don't have any missing semicolons or braces or something like that, or at least they have no compiler errors. Yeah, so this will compile, I guess. So what will future be when I execute those statements? What could future be? Any ideas? Could it be 7 seconds added, or 7 Weißwurst, as we say in Bavaria, or something like that? What you want to add? So the problem is, yeah, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna know what it is because this API doesn't tell you. You gotta read the Java doc. That's bad because for something that simple, you should not be forced to write the Java doc. And fortunately, that's the wrong code. The Java API looks like this, and it says plus days, and it's really easy to guess what future will be. It will be now and plus 7 days, of course. So very easy to see. So this is an example of a good API. And since Java 8 with JSR 3.10, we have those nice methods on those objects and classes. This is very nice. Okay. Another fun one, which is real code from an in this case from an Oracle documentation. And if you want to have fun, figure out what that is, and don't get distracted by the var. It's just there to show that this is an up-to-date slide deck that includes Java 10 features. So what could that be? Let that sink for a moment. So and don't argue for like yeah, this is like for a multinational thing where you have different languages and stuff like that. It's not. Okay, 1,500. No. Let's see. This is right? This is just a float, 1.5 float. It's not more than that. But it's actually in the Oracle documentation, and I don't know why I have it there. But this is an example how code sometimes looks like, and this is a point I want to make to show you can do it very, very hard. You can make it very, very hard. If you hate your colleagues, do that, of course. Make them go crazy. But if you love your colleagues, don't do that. Just do the other one. I want to show a real example from the same grade. So this is the real example we have in our code. And don't forget, we build IDEs and Java tools. So we have to figure out sometimes some things from the language and stuff that happens there in classes and so. And you had enough time to figure that out because, yeah, aliens, you know. And I don't mean aliens, but time is over and you want to go home. So if you haven't figured it out in like 5 seconds, that's bad code, right? So that's what we thought, and we gave it like a refresh and did some work on it, and now it looks like this. And this is so much better, right? It's so much easier to understand, and we can call our code in the red code that goes there where the comment is twice. This is really nice. This is super cool. No, it's not. So it got a little bit better, but we're not there. It should look like this. So this code was just finding out if there is a method on a class that is a getter or a Boolean getter, and it should look like something like this. And why I show this example all the time, because of course you have to code the code behind that, but usually you don't have to get into this. You have to just figure out what is going on, and then you can go into it. So do it like this. Good reasoning for that is we have 5 generations of software developers that will read your code. And don't get me wrong, generations is not measured in this example in you have kids and they read it, and they have kids and they read it. No. It's about you do a project, you do great work, but you have to go. Either because you have to go to another project, you change a company, something like this. And there comes another colleague and he has to take over, and then he has to go, and there is another colleague, and then she has to take over, and on and on and on. Okay, and these are 5 generations. So please be gentle and love those people, because you're gonna have to take over code from other people. So this is a giving and taking. Okay, so what should we do about code? I mean, commented out code, nobody needs anymore, or okay, I still need it because I want to make sure that, because I had written so good code, I want to make sure that it's still there and everybody can see that I wrote this code. And even though there was a change for the requirements, for the business requirements here, the old code was so nice, I just commented out, right? Okay, I think you shouldn't do that. Don't do it, because it reduces clarity. It clutters up everything. Like in Hendrik's talk before, the log statements, if you have like 50 log statements and 2 lines of production code, that's, well, not so good. Also, you get a false sense of security because all the information is missing. I can't remember nobody that writes to the commented out code, I commented this out because this and that and this and that. Nobody does that. But almost everybody writes commit messages. So just delete the code, write a good commit message. That's better. There's a question. Okay, I guess this was just a mishap. Okay, so just out with it. And if you're not convinced by those arguments, just take a look at this Wikipedia page from the Capital Knight Capital Group, which is really fun because they do trading, and somebody left in some code, and somebody else came along and commented it back in, even though the code changed for months or years, I don't know. But it's really easy to comment code back in when it's there. It's way harder to go back in the Git history and find it, and then people will know that they have to adapt something, because you can't take something from the Git history from years ago and just put it in there. They will think about it. But if you just comment code in, people will think, okay, I don't know, this was last week. They don't know. So make sure to check out Knight Capital Group for epic failures, and make sure you're not the one that makes such a mistake. So we're coming to the most controversial slides in this presentation. It's about code structure and especially code formatters. So I recommend using a code formatter. You can do a lot of things. How you configure your code formatter, that's up to you. I would make sure that the whole team uses the same code formatter. This makes it really easy to make diffs when you check in your code, because you don't get this noise from the changing formats, and the one colleague that has the braces in the same line as the block statement, the other one in the other one, and all that. But I want to give you an example, a real life example, on how that will positively influence your weekend. So let's look at this very simple code. You have an app, and this app does some input validation. And if everything is okay, you can save your document. Okay, that's great. So some UX people come around and they tell you, we have to reduce the clicks the user has to make. So if everything is valid, you should close the document. So you have one click less. So really great example. Friday evening, I'm gonna hack close. I'm gonna shine because I did this change in a few seconds, and I'm gonna head home. So I have used no code formatter, and that's bad, because what actually happens is close is of course not executed because I did not use any braces, which means only the next statement is in this if clause. So it looks like this. Okay, and if it looks like this, it's very clear to me that close seems not to be executed. And the code formatter will have shown you that. So if you would use a code formatter, that will have helped. Yeah, Python programmer will know the pain. So, but we have more freedoms than Python programmers, and we can do it this way and can use those braces. So my advice would be always use them, so you don't make as much mistakes. Another very convenient thing is to always write an else block and give your colleagues a hint that there's nothing to do here. Okay. Last time I gave this talk, not everybody was clear on whether this is a joke or not. It's a joke. Nobody does that. Okay. There can be corner cases where sometimes this is fun, but that's not something I would recommend to do in your everyday life. Just a joke. Okay. Going ahead with a little bit style, we have a little comic for you to enjoy. It's about style guide. Take a minute, take it in. So a fun little story. Okay. Now I need your attention back. We want to do something on arrays. We want to swap. You notice from your education in school or wherever you learn to program, and we have to swap arrays. I know arrays not so much in fashion right now, but sometimes you see them and you have to deal with them. And there's an error here. Can you spot it? And let me tell you, if you haven't spotted it right now, that's bad, because it's the same error as before. I forgot the braces. Only the first statement is executed, and if you haven't seen it now, you only have to be true to yourself. You don't have to tell anybody. It's in the morning, at least where I am, and this is where I have a good focus. Think about what's up with you on Friday evening. So this is just an example to show you. I showed you what you should do like 15 seconds ago, and you couldn't remember. So make sure you have tools that help you. This is something for machines and not for humans. Yeah, make sure your focus hasn't be on the braces. Let the machine do it. Okay. Let's do some math. Let's do some math. Okay. Let's see. And of course, in your source code, there will be variables, and I put numbers, so it's easier for us to do the math here. Okay. 3 and 4, this 7, and on the other side, this is 2 and 7, this is 9. So I'm gonna multiply that, and this should be like 63 or so. Okay, everybody agrees? Okay, not everybody agrees. Yeah, because there's a rule that says multiplication supersedes the sum, and if I want to have 63, I should put braces. Now it's right. Okay, but the first one is deceptive, because it gives you it gives you a false sense of how it's done. So if you want, again, if you want to really struggle with your colleagues, do this, but make it easier for your colleagues to find this. So this is also something that I haven't seen do many people, but I think it's a good idea to really outline that, because on a Friday at night, I don't know if I know about multiplication and sums and all that stuff. Hopefully I do, but yeah, you know. And then, of course, you could place parentheses around it. That's also something nobody does, because the code formatter, depending on the configuration, will delete this to make it easier. I don't know about that. So there's something up for discussion, right? Okay, you're done with math today. Let's head over to something that has to do with languages. Okay, school day. Can you read this? And this is a very nice language. It's not Java though, but it's a real language, I guess. Okay, it's really hard, right? But let's see, there is a Hungarian notation there, and it says using Hungarian notation makes reading code difficult. And in front of every word, there is like a little prefix. And for a verb, there is a V, and for an adjective, there is an A, D, J, and for a noun, there is an N. And so I can see what types of words these are, right? Sounds familiar? Okay. Yeah, it is. And this Hungarian notation, and this could make sense. I don't want to bash Hungarian notation for everything, but this could make sense in a few ways. But mostly in Java, it doesn't make sense, because we have a statically typed language that has really good IDE support, and usually don't need this, because the IDE and the compiler and all this stuff, they know what types these are, and usually you know, and usually there's no need to mark interfaces with an I or something like that, except of course you work for Apple and you do iPhones and stuff like that. Please keep the eyes. That makes it easy to spot the products. But in other cases, you don't need that. And you can build so nice domain-specific languages with Java. And yeah, it really looks like you're writing a sentence in English if you do it right. But the eyes and all this Hungarian notation make it hard to do that. Okay, let's head over to the fun section. And we have comments. This is a comment, religious comment, of course. This is a break free from maintenance hell. If you don't believe in hell, there's no God, I guess. So this is something for religious people. Okay, this is from Stack Overflow. I have the link in my sources. You can get the slides afterwards. You can check out the whole thread. There are hilarious comments. I love them. But back to my examples. Comment on what you do, why you do it, and not what you do, and or not how. So this is intentionally in German, because if there is just a comment over return one that says returns one, also this could be true, but it makes more sense in German to say, it says in German returns one. So, okay. I hope you haven't seen this. If you have seen this, you ask yourself why people do this. Very easy answer. One day the company hired a consultant, and he said you have to do metrics. I know such a guy, and they come and say you have to do metrics for everything. And then they have a metric that says, let's look at how many lines of code we have compared to the lines of comments we have, and have a ratio for that. And say good code is only if you have a certain ratio of comments to code. So a smart programmer will figure out how to get there. I'm gonna comment everything, okay, with very helpful comments. So don't do that. Let's see another one. So very easy code. Maybe you can figure out what it does. Maybe you want to write it in the chat. I give you a second to think about what this could do. So I would, if I see this code in some kind of purchasing system or web shop system or something like that, I would figure that this should be something with a legal age, or if you're allowed to buy something or something like that. Okay. So, okay, that's good. So, but I'm not totally sure. So I want to put a comment there. So I don't have to think about it next time. So I'm going to put a comment there, and it's in German again, which says, check if the person is 18. Okay, it's a very good comment. Helps nothing, because the interesting part is 18 years, or is it months, or is it something else? Of course, in this case, it was month, and this was for baby food. Okay, because when you have children, first you count in weeks or in days, then you count in months, and at some point, I don't know the point. If you know the point, let me know where the threshold is where you start to count in years. Okay. What an awkward situation, you go to a party. Okay, today it's an awkward situation to go to a party anyways, but awkward situation, you go to a party and somebody asks how old you are, and you tell them so-and-so months old. Nice, that's gonna be a fun one. Okay, so genau. Also in the comments, the 18 is a smell, correct? We will deal with that. So, and now we add a better comment, because this time it's really about buying hard liquor or something like that. And now we say, check if the person is of legal age. Yes, this is much better. This is really better. But I would argue you shouldn't even have to put a comment there, because you should have a better code. And as Sven said in the code, in the chat, we have to get rid of this magic number 18. So this could be a way to do it, to have a constant if you have a small system, not very international. So you could have a constant in, if you have a good IDE, you could hover over with your mouse cursor, and you have Javadoc on that constant. That could be fun. Okay, if we move to a more international system, then something like this could happen. This would be better. Get legal age, and you could spin this around, and you could have legal age in years. And as you can see, you can go crazy with it. And again, I would advise check if you have good types, because if you had a nice year type or something like that, that could help to reduce the length of your method names. Think about it. Okay. Also, you could use comments for markers. In Eclipse, you can do nice markers, but I guess this is just a side note. So let's finish up the comment section real quick. This is a really nice comment. Go ahead and read it. Give you a second to read it. So you might say this is not very helpful and just fun or bashing colleagues. No, it's not. It's really, really helpful, because when it's Friday evening, you come to this point at the code and you see how much time your colleagues already put in. You have two ways to go. You could say, I want to slaughter the whole weekend because I'm so much smarter than my colleagues, and I'm gonna do it, and you waste another 42 hours. Or you can say, no. It's Friday evening. I'm not gonna beat this because my colleagues spent 42 hours to do this. This is not where I'm gonna shine today. Maybe next week you can have a talk with your colleagues. We have spent so much time with this. This is a task for Monday, okay? On Monday you can talk about this, but not now, okay? Also great comment from Stack Overflow, not one of mine examples, but this is too great to not have it in there. Yeah, okay. Remove the comment, commit, and go on vacation. Nice one. Okay. Okay. Also, error messages. Yeah. Again, you can choose if your colleagues love you or hate you. Again, with arrays, because this is a nice example. I hate this exception. It says array out of index out of range. So I know nothing. Jon Snow. Better would be if I could have something like this. It would tell me array index 15 out of range. So at least I know what the system was doing. Yeah, stack trace is a good thing, but when you've seen Hendrik's talk before, there were logs, and this is of course something that's in the logs. That's not something you find by debugging. This is the production system, and some guy comes in and tells you, fix this, and you know it's Friday evening. Okay, so what you want to have is something like this: array index 15 out of range, and the array is an array that has indices from 0 to 9, and you really know what's happening, and then it's better for you. So there's an example, of course. Make sure if you do exceptions, or if you throw exceptions, or you build your own exceptions, what you should do, then please go ahead and have some information in there. with only lines that are not your code. Yeah, of course. Of course. So last section for that talk, how to implement clean code. It's not so much about the rules or all these dogmatic things. I think this is more like a team process that fits perfectly into like agile style of development, because what you want to do is you want to reduce the zone of chaos. Again, this goes back to the slides of the beginning of the presentation. What you want to have is, what you want to or not want to have is this zone of chaos at the end, before or in the maintenance phase when you release or something like that. You want to have a better situation. A better situation, how could that look like? The better situation could look like something like this, where there are problems and you find them and you deal with them when you see them or when you're doing them. Let's have a look how this could be fixed with reviews. So what we see out there is two kinds of reviews. I like the picture with the ants and the elephant. If you do a review with like an ant or like an elephant, this is completely different things. Let's have a look. So there are always two words that come together, but they represent the opposite of each other. So let's go with the bad one first. So you have this elephant review. So they are rarely, they long formally, which means you have to put on a tie, go into a conference room, you're alone, there are like 5 people. This is 2 months after you ship the code, and they bash you for everything you've done because your code is not great. Okay, this is very, very helpful, and you can learn a lot from it, right? No, you're gonna hate everyone and leave the project before the testing phase, right? That's also a good choice to do. So the better way to do it is do it often, do it short, do it informally. Informally is like going to your colleague, asking her, hey, can you have a look? I wrote this right now, early feedback. Can you give me feedback? Also, the warnings in the code that I showed before, they give you early feedback. You're just writing this. If I'm getting feedback on code I wrote 2 days ago, I don't know what I've done. Okay, that will help me just a really tiny bit. If I get feedback right now, this is really good. Also, both can learn. You can discuss. If you don't have to wear a tie and talk to 5 people, it's really easy to argue or discuss why this could be good or bad. I said it before, clean code is not about some rules. It's what fits here and why it fits. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I suggest. And always keep in mind the Jedi Master and the Jedi, which is not a master. As we all know from Star Wars, it could go to the dark side. So don't go to the dark side. Okay, review benefits, of course, avoid the zone of chaos. You have personal development, which is very good. Also a good argument for your manager. Knowledge sharing, making the team better. This is always good. Improving the code base, of course, and you have less stress. Think about your Friday evenings and more from your pensions. Nobody has something from it if you have a heart attack before it's the day you go. Okay, so always leave the campground cleaner as you found it. This would be like the last slide for this. I have a Q&A slide also here, and I want to encourage you all, let me find my notes, to give feedback to this session. I would really love to have feedback, either good or bad, what you like. Let me see, where's the chat here? Or just navigate to the session in the conference plan and give me feedback, and hopefully not just the smileys, just tell me what you liked about the talk and what you didn't like, so I can improve on that. And now we have some minutes left, 6 minutes left for questions. If you have questions, if you want to discuss something, you could unmute yourself, or you could also write in the chat. And also, I will be in this Zoom room after the session if you want to discuss something you're not comfortable discussing here. This is something like when you go up to the speaker after the session and want to discuss something that bothers you or you need help with. Okay, some from the. Okay, Steffen says won't help as testing starts from the beginning. Right, because you can't leave the project before the testing phase if the testing starts from the beginning. That would be a good choice, yes. You do tests? Yes. I hope you do tests like the aliens. Funny conversation here. I like it. Really nice. Really nice. Okay. Seems to be no questions on that. If you would like to have help on that, just reach out to me. My contact info is also on this slide, I guess. Where did I put it? Here. Forgot to put it on our last slide. Reach out to me and we can talk about it. Maybe I can help with that or someone of my colleagues can. So I wish you have fun at the conference. It's really nice being here. Tell it to your colleagues that it's a cool conference. And I hope to see you next year. Up next in this track is Hanno. He will talk about the future of Git. Also very interesting. I'm looking forward to hear what we'll be learning next after we are done with Git. I hope it takes a while because I really like it. So looking forward to Hanno's talk. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.